Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I was reminded by something that Peter David actually wrote in his "But I Digress" column, like quite a long time ago. I think at least 25 years. This had been like mid 90s. It's a long time ago, at least 25 years ago. He made the point, which in hindsight was one of those super forward thinking statements, and it was that he believed that more customers, more fans would follow the creators rather than the characters. And he was saying it kind of in relation to image and everything else. And he was being a bit, I mean, he also liked to kind of grind an axe around, you know, Todd McFarlane didn't make Spider-Man, Spider-Man made Todd McFarlane. That's a whole other kind of zoo of argument that you can go down. But his comment, which I'm not even sure if this is precisely what he meant, winds up being pretty forward thinking, I think, and it sets us to where we are today, which is in a world of the publishers taking characters and inserting them randomly into events and having crossovers and having all kinds of things. And keep in mind, Peter David was notoriously hated having to deal with crossovers. He hated, he would plan out a run and it's like, congratulations, X Factor, you are now crossing over with three other books in this little event we have going on. It made him insane. And he would speak out against it. And I think probably irritated a good number of editors in the process. Many writers had the same view. But at any rate, and I know somebody suggested I should just change my channel to "at any rate." I guess you don't realize what you say over and over and over until somebody points it out to you. That's kind of scary. Yikes! I need to continue to work on diversifying what I say. I listen to more audiobooks, or I don't know. One of these days, I have this bad habit, by the way, and it's gotten me into trouble in the past. I've gone over and I've lived in Japan for many months, and I find that within 2 weeks of being in any location, I start to pick up the dialect, and so you get to like I get to like broken English, and I'm sure it sounds super offensive coming out of my mouth, but it's like I'm a sponge. I just soak up stuff. So one of these days I'll have to like listen to a bunch of very well articulated like British audiobooks, and then I can come in here and I can have a far better, yeah, whatever. Anyway, you get the idea. Make a fool out of myself is what I do every day. Uh, hey, welcome people new to the channel. I derail myself a lot. Turns out that's kind of what goes on. Anyway, back to this Peter David article. The point here is that if you follow a character, then you're somewhat at the mercy of the publisher. Now, the publisher loves this. The publisher wants you to follow the character, not the creator. The publisher wants the freedom to kind of swap creators in and out of the book. They want to have the reliability to say, you buy Spider-Man, you always buy Spider-Man. No matter what we do to Spider-Man, you're going to keep buying Spider-Man. And that works for the publisher, but increasingly it doesn't work for the customer. Now, if you're a collector, you want an unbroken run of comics. But I will tell you, having worked in the shop for a long period of time, seen numbers, see how things stack up over time, there's one misconception that I think really exists heavily in comics, and that is a unbroken run is significantly more valuable than just the scattered comics themselves. So what I mean by that, if you have all the super valuable X-Men comics, you have the ones that really count, whether they're the #1 issues, whether they're the first Curse Claremont, the Giant Size, the death of Jean Grey, the first time, whatever it happens to be. If you have the really key issues, does your collection become significantly more valuable if you have all the issues in between, the ones that aren't really worth a lot but give you an unbroken run? And the answer is yes, barely. It helps to have an unbroken run financially. It helps. It definitely helps. If you're ever going to sell off your whole collection, it helps to have a nice unbroken run of comics, but not a lot. Like you'd think, hey, this is like a 2 to 3x multiplier on the amount of money you might get out of it. It's not true. It's actually barely. It's like a 1.1, 1.2 multiplier of your comics. The big selling, in fact, and I've seen some shops lowball people saying, if I have to take all of these comics as well, then I want a bit of a discount. And so I've seen some people be far more successful selling their comic books, just picking out the really high selling issues and selling them individually. But there's this perception inside the comic industry that an unbroken run is very key. And I think some of the people who have perpetuated that perspective are the publishers themselves. And it makes sense. This basically gives them the ability to say, hey, Peter David's being an asshole over here on X Factor. Let's just throw in another writer, and and people will keep, those suckers will keep buying because they need that unbroken run. Yay for us. That's not uncommon. So it begs the question then, why follow a character? Why not follow a creator? If you find a creator that you really, really trust, you stick with that creator, you go and you see their takes on different characters, and as a consumer, you're probably a lot happier. Now, you are absolutely, as a collector, going to miss out on some big moments. If you're not a fan of Chip Zdarsky and damn it, over there in Daredevil, I'm a fan of Mark Waid, but not Chip Zdarsky. So I was reading Daredevil for Mark Waid, and then he went off the title and Chip Zdarsky went on it. I stopped buying it. Now there's a couple issues of his run that have bumped up in value. Elektra is going to be Daredevil for a while, and this is good stuff. So, but you missed it. Definitely, that's going to be true. And the Mark Waid Daredevil issues, maybe they're not worth that much. That's true too. So, you're definitely going to miss out on some spikes than if you just always go all in. But I think, and this would be a far bigger financial analysis than what I'm prepared to do, I think if you looked at the bets over time, my suspicion is you lose more money just buying every copy of a comic, regardless of if you like it or not, than if you kind of picked and choose where you thought the hot issues were going to be. I suspect you'd come off better as a collector that way. Now, which again, it begs the question, why are you buying comics? Are you buying it because you want something good to read? Are you buying it for investment? There's lots of different reasons, and there's no single right answer. But this is kind of the game that gets played. It's a dynamic that exists with comics today. And the other kind of factor that comes into play here, and I think this is the elephant in the room, is if you follow creators, not characters, then you probably are never going to have the dilemma on your hands of, hey, this creator is being a crazy person that I super disagree with. They're talking about their personal opinions, and they're denying the Holocaust, or they're whatever they happen to do. They're being super, super dodgy, but I can't break my run. So I guess I'm going to hold my nose and I'm going to buy this creator's comic, even though I don't like the person who's doing it. Well, if you follow creators, not characters, you're never going to have yourself in that position. You're just going to buy what you want, and that's the end of it. And I think over time, that probably is a healthier place for you to be as a customer. And I say this from the perspective of having listened to lots of people over the years, having heard the different complaints. The one bit of advice I give to everybody consistently is you got to buy what you are happy spending money on. The second you enter into a world where you're spending money on things you don't like, you're now at a place where eventually you're going to get angry at your hobby. You're going to get angry at the choices you've made, because you're going to feel yourself spending a bunch of cash on people or things you don't agree with, and that just never ends well. It is always better to go, to spend where you're happy. And if you follow creators, yes, you might follow a creator that then turns out like a John Byrne. I know a lot of people follow John Byrne, and then it was revealed that John Byrne was crazy, and they were upset about that. They're like, "Oh my God, I'm paying for this a-hole." Sure, that does happen, but your odds are far, far less. And also, I think you have a better. You will have a better experience justifying to yourself giving somebody money. If you really like Saladin Ahmed, and you just like the way that he writes, you like the way he portrays characters, and you really feel like, hey, this guy has a style that just really works for me. I love it. Well, if you then find out later that he's posting outrageous, crazy things on Twitter, that may still bother you, but you're still going to be like, well, at least I like the cut of his jib. I like the way he writes books, so I can separate the art from the artist. I can, because his characterization is so spot on. It's just all in all, I think it makes for a much better environment for you. You get what you want. You get stories you tend to like, and that tends to work out better in the end. My opinion, anyway. But what about you? Where are you at? Do you follow characters? Do you follow books? Do you follow creators? Have you made a change over the years from one to the other? I'd like to hear about it. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts, where you're at. Like, subscribe, click. No, don't click any bells. Thanks for listening.